So this is, again, this is Mars Exploration Triple Play. And the reason I'm calling it the Triple Play is because there's 3 probes, very different probes that have either arrived or are about to arrive at Mars this February. There is the UAE, the Hope Orbiter. This is the UAE is the United Arab Emirates. Their Hope Orbiter entered Mars orbit on February 9th. China's Tianwen-1 entered Mars orbit on February 10th, and it'll stay in orbit and release a rover in May-June timeframe. And, oh, sorry, let me turn that off. Sorry about that. And as probably everybody, that's not living under a rock knows by now, the Mars 2020 project with the Perseverance rover is arriving and landing tomorrow, February 18th. All right. So.
Yep. 12 minutes of terror.
Yeah. Yep. The Hope is the United Arab Emirates' first mission to Mars, and it is an orbiter. Tianwen-1 is China's Mars rover. It's interesting because it's the first non-USA rover that's going to Mars, and while the USA has some experience, obviously, with rovers, this is our 5th rover, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is our 5th rover. This is China's first, and it is kind of an ambitious one. Whether it's successful or not, we'll see. We won't know until it actually sends the rover down. And then, this Perseverance, which is going down tomorrow, which is our largest and most complex rover to date. And Hope, again, is the UAE's rover launched. These all launched last July. That happened to be the launch window that was best with the planetary alignments. Hope launched in July 19th. It's going into a fairly high orbit. And the main mission of the Hope orbiter is to study the upper atmosphere, looking for traces of biological atmospheric gases. The whole point, interestingly enough, the whole point of all 3 of these missions is to look for traces of look for geological and fossil traces of past life on Mars.
Except Hope.
Well, Hope also, but it'll do it from an orbital standpoint. It's going to look for traces. It'll study the Martian climate, and also look for traces of atmospheric gases of particularly hydrogen and oxygen in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, that's because it's all ultraviolet and a spectrometer.
Yeah.
That's what it's
there's an orbiter in low orbit now called Maven, and the 2 of them will work together.
So, did you hear more about the high orbit of Hope? Really, what its orbit is designed to do?
I'm not sure I know what you mean by the question. I mean,
it's not a regular spherical orbit, but elliptical orbit.
Right. Yeah, 14,000 to 27,000 miles. Yeah.
That's designed so that when Mars rotates around underneath its orbit, it will be guaranteed to capture the entire surface of Mars. So we'll have all of Mars mapped for the first time ever.
Good.
Yeah, that's unique.
Yeah, good. Okay. And then the Chinese Tianwen-1, again, it's the first attempt by a nation other than the U.S. to land and operate a Martian rover. I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information, which maybe by design, They do have a ground penetrating radar that's going to be looking for pockets of water. It'll also produce subterranean maps, 3D subterranean maps. There's also instruments that'll be studying Martian climate, Martian geology, Martian chemistry. You know, you can, you know, I don't want to get into, you know, theories, you know, on purpose here, but producing 3D subterranean maps of Mars could have a whole lot of other purposes. If you're looking at colonizing Mars at some point. So it's
Meaning like water reserves or
water reserves, colony,
minerals.
Yeah, minerals. You know, there's a whole lot of usefulness to having subterranean maps of Mars. So it's anyway, that's the stated purpose of the rover that they're putting on there.
And uniquely, it's going to be in the northern hemisphere where we haven't been.
Yeah. Yep.
Territory.
Yeah. You know, and then there's a Perseverance rover, and again, this was also launched in July. It's a big one. Yeah, weighs about a ton.
The size of a car.
Size of a compact car. Again, it's nuclear powered, just like Curiosity, so it won't have the problems with the sandstorms like the older rovers did. Little bit different design as far as samples. It's meant to gather samples up. It'll do a lot of experiments on board, but it'll also gather up samples and leave them in sealed tubes for later retrieval and return to Earth, which is kind of interesting. There's a mission that's being planned for 2031, an international mission by the U.S. and by the European Space Agency. And again, one of the main missions of Perseverance is to directly search for signs of past life, and you know, whether they find anything current, microscopic signs of biological activity. We'll see. It's got a lot of instrumentation on board, and I do go through some of that. It's pretty well studded with some really really neat stuff.
Could you go back?
Sure.
Before you name them all, that way I wanted to comment, because you're going to talk about what they do.
Well,
I want to say that
briefly,
what they are. Yeah, they're all the same instruments that are on the Curiosity rover,
yeah,
but upgraded with, you know, more modern, more stable or mil-spec components. No new devices, because, well, hey, why mess with success?
I think Curiosity was launched in what, 2006, I believe.
It was after Spirit.
Yeah. So it's you know, there's been quite a few years for them to upgrade the electronics. So if we look at some of this, the arm, and I don't know how well you guys can see the small picture here. The arm that's you know, that's sticking up out of the center is called a super cam. And that's there's actually a laser mounted on there that can zap a rock from a few meters away and read the chemical makeup of the gases. Let's see, there's
is that the guidance head too? Is that
yeah, and there's cameras on there. There's just two different types of cameras on there.
But that's the one that's just, is that the one that shows it where it's going to go, and not the extendable one, right? That's the one that can look in just in case deeper.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask a question.
Yep. The robotic arm itself has an ultraviolet spectrometer. That's the arm that's sticking out at front, called Sherlock. It can read chemical signatures. That arm also has a camera called Pixel, which can see features as small as a grain of sand. And that works in conjunction with the zoomable cameras on the mast. And then, I'm sorry, I'm actually having trouble seeing the small diagram. There's a radar called RIMFAX that can detect pockets of water up to 10 meters or like 31 feet below ground. And then there's META, which is a weather station, a very complete weather station. And then MOXIE. Okay, that's the one on the bottom here, near the bottom, which is that's actually a device that's being tested that can extract. It'll extract carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and then extract oxygen from that carbon dioxide. And that's being
literally looks like it's under the fender of the right front wheel.
Yeah, it's mounted near the bottom on the front, I believe. That's being tested as a device for future habitations to produce oxygen. And this is one of the other things here. This is something that that was envisioned years ago by who's the guy that started the Planetary Society? You know who I mean.
Bruce Murray?
Who?
Bruce Murray?
No. The gentleman that did the gentleman that did the original series on TV.
Carl Sagan.
Sagan. He wanted to send microphones to Mars that would transmit back to the Earth, but that plan never materialized. So this rover has that technology. There's actually 2 microphones that will directly record and transmit back the first ever sounds from Mars, and that'll be available for people to listen to. So, and of course, the neatest thing that's surprisingly not on that picture itself is Ingenuity, which is the small helicopter drone that's stored in its belly. It's really just a flight test of the concept, but at some point the Ingenuity will be lowered. Perseverance will move back supposedly about 30 feet or so, and Ingenuity will take off on a 30. Oh my God, I say 30 day. It's actually a 30-minute. I apologize. Oops. Apologize for that error. It's 30-minute on a 30-minute test flight. It's not 30-day. It's a 30-minute test flight. It's really just a proof of concept in this case, and to see if the whole concept of a bladed flight on a thin atmosphere like that works. And if it does work, it'll open up that whole idea to be used in on Mars and other planets. And one of the more ambitious uses of that technology will be in 2034, when NASA is planning to launch an 8-bladed quadcopter called Dragonfly onto Titan.
Cynic in me wants to throw up a poll. Do we going to make 30 minutes, 30 seconds, 3 seconds, or 30 days?
Yeah.
But that's just a cynic in me.
Yeah. It's the plan is for a 30-minute test flight. Hey, whatever. Maybe it'll do 30 days. So, Now, when I said that Perseverance will collect samples, if you can see in the picture here, this is kind of the artist's conception. What it will do is it'll collect samples, and it's got a drilling arm or a drilling capability, just like the previous rover does, where it can collect samples, it can do core samples. It's got all that same capability. And if you can see here, what it will do, what it can do is create these sealed containers, small sealed tubes, and leave them on the surface of the planet. And then in 2031, there will be a sample return mission, which will gather up those sealed containers and fire them off. Now this, obviously that's a very small rocket. That's not intended to return all the way to Earth. That's intended to fire them back up to an orbiter, which will then return to Earth. So those samples that Perseverance is leaving on the surface will then be fired back up to an orbiter in 2031 for return to Earth. So that's the plan. And again, this sample return mission is planned as a joint mission between the USA and the European Space Agency. So that's pretty cool. Now this I thought was an interesting picture. Mars is like the, pardon me for sounding, misogynistic here or sexist, but Mars is like the cute girl down the street. Everybody wants to go visit. And we've visited a lot, or at least we've tried to visit a lot. There are 47 missions on this screen. And some of these are multiple versions of the same one. It's like Mariner 1, Mariner 2, Mariner, so some of these are multiple iterations of the same mission. There's something, if you look it up, there's something called the Mars curse. And that's what this status indicator here is. 23 of these missions have succeeded. 22 of them have actually failed. That's a failure rate of just about 50%. We haven't had that's a terrible failure rate. Now I have a question mark by 2 because the only of the 3 that are happening this month, the only one that's actually there and in place right now is the one from the UAE. We'll see if the Chinese one actually makes it to the surface, and we're all assuming that Perseverance will make it down, but
that's where Dave said it's 12 minutes of terror.
Yeah, there's still 2 question marks. I'm going to enlarge this screen here just to show you. Now, can everybody see the zoomed in version here? Okay. Yep. So the last 3, as we go around here, are Hope, Tianwen 1, and Perseverance. Those are the 3 that are happening this month. Okay. If you start at the top, this is 1960. Okay, and I don't know if you guys can read that, but that's a Russian. Those are Russian missions, Mars 1M number 1 and Mars 1M number 2, both destroyed during launch. Okay, the next one over is 1962 and 1964. That's again, Mars whatever number 1, Mars 1 number 1 and Zond 2. Those are 4 missions. Broke up in Earth orbit, radio failure en route, stranded in Earth orbit, and radio failure en route. That's a 444 or 044. Okay. The next one is Mariner 3 and Mariner 4. You know, I'm not going to go through all these, obviously, but the next one is Mariner 3 and Mariner 4. 1964. Payload fairing failed to open. And then finally, Mariner 4. First flyby and picture returned. So Mariner 4 was successful. Mariner 3 was not.
Well, that's why it pays to make 2 of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So if one
So
fails, you can
yeah.
launch the other one.
That's right. So you can go around this entire picture, you know, go and you know, count the heartaches.
And the successes, right? You got both there.
Oh, obviously, and the successes, right?
That's
right.
a pretty interesting picture. If it weren't for a short meeting night, like I would love to see you go through them. Can I ask you to share a link?
I sure will.
I'll put it in the minutes or put it in the news group, one of the two.
Sure, it is a fascinating picture, and what's in the center of the picture are the 5 landers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 6 landers, including the 7 if you count the 2 Spirit and Opportunity separately of the the American landers. So and you can find those on here somewhere. Here we go. This is Opportunity and Spirit are here.
2003, both of them.
Yep. So anyway, I will share that link because it is a fascinating graphic. Here's Pathfinder.
Yep. It deployed the Sojourner.
Deployed Sojourner, right? Sojourner. Yep. So anyway, I will share that picture. I thought that was just a fun picture to look through.
A little bit of Mars history.
Yep. Here's the landing sites that we have had of our landers. So just and the red diamond is where Perseverance will be landing. Compared to where the other landers have come down.
It looks almost like the highest northern latitude, if that's north up.
Yeah, just about. Yeah, north is up.
All available as ampersand T-shirts and coffee mugs from the Smithsonian. I can share it. I have it screen up.
Yeah. Huh. So then I just go through a real quick history. It's funny. I have trouble believing that this was 24 years ago because I remember when they, I still remember when Sojourner went to Mars. Just this tiny little thing that looked like a toy. Again, it was the size of a microwave oven. Had 2 instruments on it. Had cameras and a spectrometer, and just tooled around. The picture here, the ramp and the couple you see at the bottom are from Pathfinder. Sojourner never really got very far from Pathfinder. It just kind of tooled around in the general area. And again, it was expected to live for 7 days, and it functioned for 85 days until the onboard battery stopped working. And I remember it was built from off-the-shelf components. So It was just an amazing little thing.
Saved Mark Watney, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did. You're right. You're right. You know, and the next rovers, the twin rovers, they both landed on January 4th, 2004. Their main mission was, again, all of these were really, we were fascinated with finding evidence of past geological, past life on Mars. But the primary missions, again, were to look for geological and climate activity could have supported life. These were, you can't really see, I'm sure you guys know what these look like. I mean, those panels on top almost look like outswept wings. If you look at it from an angle, down from above, they were solar cells. And again, they were not expected to survive the Martian winter, which was only about 90 to 92 days away after they landed. As everybody knows by now, Spirit went on to survive 6 years. Opportunity stayed active for 14 years until so much dust built up on its solar panel. Finally, by a final sandstorm in 2018, that they were no longer able to provide power. It was just an amazing lifespan. So now this, I think that's all I have for those. Yeah, Curiosity is still active. Landed in 2012. I thought it was 2006. It landed in 2012, still operational. Much larger than the other rovers. Carries, like John said, it carries basically all the same instrumentation that that Perseverance does, but Perseverance is updated quite a bit. It is nuclear powered. And again, primary mission, the search for microbial life on Earth. It landed at a place called Gale Crater. And what makes Gale Crater special, as you can kind of see in the picture, is there's this tall layered mountain in the center of the crater. And the mountain itself exposes geological layers. Similar to if you go to a canyon on the Earth, you have the geological layers of this, of the soil in the canyon. So, Curiosity was able to look at those layers for evidence of fossilized microbial life. It also has a drill that's used to take core samples, and that drill was used to determine that the mud, or the what used to be mud, it's ancient soil that used to be mud in Gale Crater, could in fact have at one point supported life. I thought this next slide was really fascinating. This is a video from Curiosity of the 2 Martian moons. This is an actual video, real time from Curiosity of one moon, occulting the other. Occulting. I love that word.
An iota mission.
What?
An iota mission that we missed. Missed opportunity.
Yeah. If you know anything, I don't want to. If you know anything about the moons of Mars, I mean, they're basically rocks. Phobos is passing in front of Deimos here, and again, Phobos is 14 miles in diameter, and Deimos is 8 miles in diameter. You know, you can leisurely drive around, the circumference of both of these moons. And Phobos is orbits at about 3,700 miles up, and Deimos orbits at about 14,580 miles up. And I mean, this is an actual, I enlarged it some, but this was the actual, Phobos orbits once every just over, 7 hours and 39 minutes. So that this is not a sped up video. This is actually what Curiosity captured. So I just thought that was a cool video. And Perseverance will be landing in an area called Jezero Crater. And if you see the picture here, it's pretty obvious that there was a very ancient water flow in that crater at one point. They figure about 3.5 billion years ago, a river channel spilled over the crater wall and created a lake. Here on the right side of the photo. So that's the area that Perseverance will explore. Now, the Mars 2020 mission, the overall mission is planned to last 2 years. The nuclear generator that powers Perseverance itself has a lifespan of 14 years. There are storage batteries of Perseverance that will probably extend that lifespan some also. So, going by the experience of the other rovers, who knows how long that lifespan will be? It may, it may last quite a bit longer. So, and I threw in some useful links here. The two that John passed on here. This is the one that's happening at 10 o'clock tonight. All right, the thrill and terror of landing a spacecraft on Mars. The 12 minutes of terror. And then this is the Night Sky Network, which again, I guess you have to be a member of Night Sky Network.
We are
You have to register for this.
But registration is required.
Oh, we are a member. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's a watch party. This I thought was a great site. It's actually the NASA site. Where is Perseverance? It's actually, I call it Where is Perseverance, but let me click on that. Let me see if I click on that. Tell me once it comes up. Can you guys see the website?
Not yet. Do you see it? All I see is the blue. Do you have the ability to share the whole computer, not just screen?
Let me see. New share. Can you see it? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is the website that it comes to, and it's got several screens. I mean, there's a countdown to the landing. There's a link here at the bottom where you can watch it online. You can information on Perseverance itself. Let's see. Okay. And then this is
distance.
This is the
traveled.
current distance. So I know I just thought it was a neat site.